didn't realize you were going to be there this weekend. So all of a sudden, earlier today, it was like,
Okay, so the prints this size are 10 each by 3 that one.
Rich Bernatovech at C2E2. Subscribe to Raze Chaos.
And welcome back, everybody. My name is Raze Chaos. You've made it back to my channel, and do you see? Do you see what day it is? It's Wednesday. Yes, it's Wednesday, and Raze is back with another comic book cover, and even better, it's DC. When does Raze get these? Oh, he gets. Don't get me wrong. I absolutely love the Marvel covers that he's been showing, and I mean, granted, they give me lots of stuff to talk about, and you know how much Raze loves to talk. But Raze talks DC like Raze could talk some DC, yeah, and DC doesn't have the best history as far as far as things go with comic book covers, which is a real problem, which is a real issue for Raze, because obviously he can talk more about them, and yeah, they don't give him enough. But what did they do this time? What did they do this time? Oh my goodness. So, looking at this guy, it's like, okay, cool. We've got the Cyborg Superman on there, and you've got the replacement Supermen that happened during the reign of Supermen that immediately followed up the death of Superman. These guys were the replacements, and everybody, all the different comics, yeah, you could see like the actual cover itself, because they basically had like one of the four, like Steel, Superboy, the Eradicator, and the Cyborg Superman all took one of the 4 ongoing monthly books, and you followed them each and the big question was, who was the real ones? Who was the real Superman that has returned? So all that's just fine and dandy. But the thing is this is not a cover of any one issue. Just by looking at it, it looks like a pinup of the 4 Supermen, like it's for the reign of Supermen. But actually, it's more or less one of the different covers that they've used when reprinting the reign of Superman into a reign of the Supermen in a trade form, which is really strange. I don't know if they plan on doing 4 of these like they did with the X-Men #1. This is not an exclusive. I mean, that was the X-Men #1 was the different covers all kind of locked together into that there was a fold out cover, and they put like one of all the different covers out and everything, and they had a different character in each one. And yeah, it's a little confusing because one, why did they choose Cyborg Superman to be in here, to be the cover? That it could have been any one of the four, and they chose the Cyborg Superman. Yeah, don't understand. But those multiple of the same issue, that was actually previews exclusives. This is not a company exclusive for any. It's not previews. It's not GameStop. If it was any of those, I thought, well, maybe they're planning on doing a series like they did with the X-Men #1. But they're not doing that. Basically, you get you're getting this, and that's what you're getting. So come on, DC, why? I mean, it's not like I don't have plenty of talk about the reign of Superman, but I mean, come on, everybody knows about that. You know, yes, Superman died. 4 beings came back, replacing Superman. They were all different. They all had different characteristics of him. And yeah, that was that's kind of how it went. And you could have done any which one of them with that. And like I said, there's no specific issue here. But you know what? Since it is the Cyborg Superman, I think we will focus. I think I'm going to go ahead and focus on him. So this is going to be less a comic book cover information deal as it is going to be this character specifically, because as far as Raze knows, they haven't put the Cyborg Superman as a Funko Pop, and it's actually one with quite a history. So we're going to go ahead and put this guy away, and we are going to talk about the Cyborg Superman. Okay, so Cyborg Superman. Superman is Hank Henshaw, and even though you know the reign of Superman, the death of Superman, everything that stuff all kind of happened leading up to and during 1993. During all of that. That is, in fact, the first appearance of the Cyborg Superman, is when he emerges as one of the replacement Superman. But the Cyborg Superman is Hank Henshaw, who actually first appeared in 1990. And his story is synonymous with a lot of what eventually became character or talking points of the reign of Superman. Hank Henshaw was an employee of LexCorp. Okay, Hank Henshaw was an employee of LexCorp, and stop me if you've heard this. He and his love interest, girlfriend, wife, I don't remember exactly which, along with 2 guys who were actually brothers, all got onto a spaceship, a LexCorp shuttle, that went on a space mission. And it was during this space mission, which the ship itself was called Excalibur. So if you're starting to put some things together, you've got Hank Henshaw and his significant other, along with 2 brothers, 4 of them, on this ship called Excalibur, going into space. This all happens during one of the situations in which Superman is dealing with the Eradicator, which, not going to go into it too much, but it is an artificial intelligence bent on preserving Kryptonian history. And when it came about, it was attempting to preserve Kryptonian history on Earth. And so Superman had to stop this because if it wasn't Kryptonian, it didn't need to stick around, at least in its present form. It had to be changed. So Superman had to stop the Eradicator. And during this battle, when Superman finally gets to the point where he has the Eradicator and he's essentially going to throw him into the sun. Spoiler alert, that didn't happen because the Eradicator is here and he has come back as one of the returning Supermen, which that kind of gives you the good lead into why the Eradicator stepped up to become Superman, because he was preserving Kal-El's heritage and his life. But that was after Superman had already thrown him into the sun. And during that space battle, the Eradicator was giving off a lot of energy, a lot of cosmic energy, a lot of cosmic rays hit the the Excalibur with its 4 passengers, and when it returned to Earth, they all found that they were now imbued with some superpowers. At first, that's all it seemed. One of them kind of was able to merge with a lot of plant life and vegetation, and turned into this really bulky, monstrous version, while the other 3 maintained what helped them look like humanity, or humans. Hank Henshaw, of course, while his intelligence was enhanced and he seemed to be able to interact with computers a whole heck of a lot more, his big problem was that his body seemed to be aging quite quickly. Almost too quickly, to the point where he was pretty much turned into a walking corpse within a matter of moments, and or within a matter of days. And so he's essentially a walking, rotting corpse, while all the rest of them suffer similar fates, where they're basically end up dying due to this radiation poisoning. All of it was a variation of radiation poisoning, and they all died. So they didn't get to band together to become, 4 fantastic individuals and become like the first family of DC or something. Yeah, that was a thinly layered play off of the Fantastic Four, if I haven't already spelled that out completely. So they all seemingly died. However, as I mentioned before, Hank Henshaw is able to communicate with computers a whole heck of a lot easier. Even to the point where he's actually able to insert his consciousness into the computer as his body is rotting away. So, after the death of Superman, he's able to grow a partial clone of Kal-El's body, along with being able to possess, electronic robotics, and basically he is able to turn himself into the cyborg Superman, and with the part Kryptonian heritage and the other half just advanced technology of LexCorp, he's able to become the cyborg Superman, and he is full on out for revenge. If you read the Reign of Superman, one of the first things that you see that happens is that cyborg Superman goes after the Eradicator and essentially obliterates him. He is too powerful. He's a combination of Superman and this advanced technology. And so, yeah, that's the first person he goes after. And I think it's that story that they either make that the big clue as to who Cyborg Superman really is, or they drop that as a huge hint. They either drop the hint, or Hank Henshaw flat out reveals himself when he destroys the Eradicator, because it's Superman's fight with the Eradicator that bombarded his ship with the cosmic rays that essentially doomed the rest of his group into death, basically into an early death. And the longer he stays in this mechanical form, the more he becomes a computer. He doesn't feel like people do, because he doesn't have a heart. He doesn't have a soul, essentially. He is basically a living automation at this point. And he becomes a very big Superman villain. He is one of the big climaxes in the return of Superman, when Superman actually does come back. So, yeah, he later goes on. He becomes a member of the Sinestro Corps. He maintains the cyborg Superman persona even after it's revealed as to who he is. He keeps himself as Cyborg Superman, and that is always there to help discredit Superman, because it was his carelessness, in Hank Henshaw's mind, it was his carelessness that basically ruined his life and turned him into the villain that he has become. So yeah, it's a pretty long little detail and everything. But yeah, that's where Cyborg Superman comes from. And yeah, I mean, it's funny to think that basically Cyborg Superman is a knockoff of Reed Richards and what he could become. And he does utilize his mechanical form, because he's able to, move metal and electronics, and stretch them, do all that stuff. And he does have that brilliant mindset, which is part of what makes him such a deadly villain. And it's that lack of emotion, which is even shown in Reed Richards, where he thinks logically rather than emotionally. Yeah, this is basically an evil Reed Richards in the DC universe. And what he is pushed to when his moral compass, which would be the rest of the Fantastic Four, is taken away from him. So yeah, that is, Dan Jurgens really put a lot of thought into this character, and his staying power is pretty big. He's one of the top tier Superman villains. And Superman does have a problem with keeping villains, because when you're that powerful, you can't have these beings that can only be stopped by Superman. But at the same time, he needs somebody to fight. They can't all be cakewalks. And Cyborg Superman is one of the characters that they absolutely did right. And yeah, he's just a menace. He doesn't care for anything. I believe at one point he full on pulled the whole, he teamed up with Brainiac at one point to full on pull off the whole, let's get rid of living beings, because biological creatures are what actually destroy resources and environments and that kind of stuff. Machines don't consume resources. They just continue on as efficiently as possible. And he has leaned so far into that is his mindset. The only emotion that he tends to exhibit is his hatred and full-on revenge of Superman and the Eradicator. But I mean, let's face it, he slapped the Eradicator down. The Eradicator, which is an artificial life form anyway, has returned from both being chucked into the sun, from Hank Henshaw destroying him. The Eradicator will come back, because he's a being of pure energy. And yeah, that's just one of those things that the Eradicator will always come back, but it'll be affected on its consciousness, on its mindset, I guess you'd say, as to what its motivations are. Hank Henshaw has always been single-minded. He wanted to destroy the legacy that Kal-El had created as Superman, and he basically just wants revenge to an irrational level. So yeah, that I can't really say like what issue this is supposed to be from. I'm pretty sure it is just the cover of one of, if not the latest, trade paperback of the collection of the Reign of Superman stories, which would make sense. The cover would make absolute sense here. Yeah, basically every character on here, there was a hint, because they were very, I mean, Cyborg Superman was the most likely one to actually be Clark Kent returning. When you look at it, he was killed, he comes back as a cyborg and everything. Steel, flat out said, I'm only carrying on the legacy. I am not a reincarnation of Superman. I'm not any of that. He saved my life and told me to pass it along. So this is how I'm doing it. I'm using my tech. I'm using my intelligence. And I am going to save the world the way Superman would, to the best of my ability. Con-El, eventually, this is Superboy, the Con-El Superboy that basically continued on in DC. He was obviously not a reincarnation of Superman. He was like a younger version at best. And when he had there was an instance where Cyborg Superman is actually talking to Superboy, and actually makes the comment that he wishes he had the confidence in his powers when he was his age. And Lois Lane points out that, in that continuity of the DC universe, Superman doesn't start developing his powers until pubescence. So him being so young, it would all be very new to him. So yeah, there was a question as to, well, what was this, the age where he developed his powers? And it really started putting the question mark on, what is the Cyborg Superman really? Kal-El? And of course, obviously, the Eradicator was not Kal-El. That was, those, Steel and Eradicator were the two that were obviously not the real Superman returning. It came down to Cyborg Superman and Superboy as to which one was the real thing, which obviously neither one was, because the real Superman came back and asserted his spot in the DC universe, as he always does. So, yeah, this was a long and convoluted cover, which I still didn't even really be able to talk about the cover, because I couldn't really talk about the issue, because I think I've managed to talk about the origins of Hank Henshaw and Cyborg Superman and what he became and what he did past this. I got to let you know about what came before as far as Cyborg Superman goes. So, I mean, it is a good talking point about him, but it really doesn't lead you to a specific issue, which it doesn't really matter, because Raze is going to talk about his DC no matter what. And yeah, he just goes. He just continues to go, and he's gonna reel it in right now. As much as I could continue on with the Sinestro Corps, where he's actually got a yellow ring, which I do believe he takes over. He becomes the Grand Master of the Manhunters in Green Lantern, because while he was a Superman villain, don't forget, a lot of that happened in Coast City, which put him into direct conflict with Hal Jordan Green Lantern, and he is a big reason as to why Coast City was destroyed, which led to Hal Jordan becoming Parallax, and and that whole thing. So yeah, Cyborg Superman gets his hands on stuff, and yeah, he messes stuff up big time every time he shows up. But yeah, the way they did the design on this, I can't believe I'm just getting to this now. They did it exact. He's not like the cover, because both of his arms appear to be straight down the way he's standing, and in this case they have him with his hands up, with his cape flowing. So this is really a great Hank Henshaw Cyborg Superman figure, but it doesn't even really reflect the cover that well, other than the fact that if he was one of the other characters, his hands would be different. Yeah, I mean, you don't even see the flame coming out of his hand on the actual cover. But I mean, the detail on it is great, because one leg is fully robot, and I always loved that it was his his right hand was the robot arm, the left hand was the Kryptonian arm, but then when you got down, it was the reverse for the feet. But yeah. Yeah, I'm just gonna keep going if I don't just go ahead and wrap this thing up. Yeah, don't get Raze started on a character, because he has a lot of trouble stopping. And usually with these videos, with the comic cover issues, he's able to reel it back into a specific issue and keep it to that. Maybe giving you a little bit of backstory that led into that issue. But yeah, to just give me the character, he has a hard enough time trying to make these videos short enough to let you make them consumable. But yeah, if you want to check this out, yeah, it's a very long, involved read, and Raze didn't give you all the spoilers for it, because yeah, because he's stopping this video. He's wrapping this up, so there are still spoilers left in there, even though Raze probably spilled out more than you probably wanted anyway, because that's what he does. But at any rate, I am just happy to have another obscure character that I don't have the Funko Pop of. I'm glad to have another DC cover, because these are my favorite. The covers are my favorite, and then just being DC just by default is going to raise them a little higher. But I've got an entire playlist of the covers that Raze's covers playlist down if you want to check out more of these. But other than that, let me know in the comments if you have read about. Let me know if you knew about Hank Henshaw's backstory beforehand, and if you even knew that he was actually a basically a ripoff of Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic from Marvel, all the way down to the freaking. I love the spaceship is called Excalibur. Like, if you did not catch that, it's just like, wow, are you really even a Marvel fan? But I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here now. But never forget that life is full of odd moments, and you never know when you're going to be defined.